I was transmigrated as the male lead of an angsty romance novel, arriving on the day the female lead tricks me into signing the divorce papers. The next second, my vision exploded with countless scarlet-colored comments from a streaming audience. Nuclear warning ahead, the female lead tricks him into signing the divorce papers and vanishes for 10 years. The male lead goes insane searching for his wife, living a life worse than death. This is a legendary scene. Here it is. Here it is. The female lead dedicates herself to a top-secret national research project, and the male lead chases her to his own grave, only to have his ashes scattered roasting the scumbag. Roast him to death. Original novel reader here, if the male lead's ending isn't the most tragic thing you've ever seen, I'll live stream myself eating shit upside down. Mark my words, memories flooded in. I was that possessive, paranoid male lead from the novel. I misunderstood her, hurt her, and broke her heart. My girlfriend was 5 years my junior. She was a student at S University. I covered all her expenses, yet she was getting cozy with a male student she was sponsoring with my money. When I found out, I immediately froze her cards, canceled the contracts with her father's company. Her family faced bankruptcy, and she came crawling back, crying and kneeling, begging for my forgiveness. She said she knew she was wrong, that she loved me most of all. Get lost. Belated affection is worthless. At midnight, I closed the last file on a merger and acquisition. Outside the window, the city was a brilliant tapestry of lights. Just then, my phone screen lit up. A message from Vivian Ashwood popped up. Sincere, I had the kitchen keep some nourishing soup warm for you. Remember to drink it when you get back. Such a thoughtful gesture sent a wave of warmth through me. I rubbed the bridge of my nose and pressed the intercom. Charles, get the car ready. Half an hour later, I was at Hillcrest Manor. I opened the door to find Vivian curled up on the sofa, scrolling through her phone. The hem of her silk robe had ridden up to the top of her thighs. On the coffee table was the late-night snack the butler had prepared, truffle-stewed eggs with caviar. Beside it sat a newly delivered, limited-edition Hermes handbag, the satin ribbon on the box still untouched. Hearing me, she padded over barefoot to take my suit jacket, a fresh, clean scent wafting from her, as if she'd just stepped out of the shower. Sincere, you're back. Vivian kissed my cheek. The essay at Hermes said that Crocodile Birkin came in. There are only 3 in the world, and I undid my cufflinks as I walked toward the bedroom. If you like it, order it. You're the best, Sincere. She leaned in and kissed my cheek again. Oh, by the way, about that startup project from my underclassman Ethan Miller. I read his business plan, and it's really brilliant. With a dead heart, she threw herself into scientific research. When I learned the truth, I was consumed by regret, self-harming, destroying my own company, and losing my mind. Heh, a desperate chase to win her back? I'm not the original idiot. Why should I be her pathetic, lovesick simp? You want to leave? Fine, don't let the door hit you on the way out. The world is wide open. Isn't it better for my damn self to be fabulous and alone? I glanced at the divorce papers she was trying to trick me into signing, then said with a smile, Is this a divorce agreement? Great, I'll sign it. If you wanted a divorce, you should have just said so. Why be all sneaky about it? The money, is it all split properly? Chapter 1. The female lead, Willow Dawson, froze. Her eyes widened, staring at me fixedly. The pen in her hand nearly fell to the floor. The audience comments went wild. Holy crap, he found out. Wait, he found out and he's still signing the divorce papers. What about the plot? Her eyes lit up, but then she bit her lip as if remembering something. But the deadline for financing is tomorrow, and he's short $50,000 for the security deposit. I stopped in my tracks. This was the 3rd time she had brought up his name this week. Ethan Miller was a scholarship student we were sponsoring. According to her, he was a hard worker with a gambling-addicted father and a hospitalized mother. She tugged at my sleeve, shaking it gently. He's trying so hard, and his family situation is incredibly difficult. His parents are just ordinary people. He gets by entirely on scholarships. $50,000? I pulled my arm away, took the black card from my wallet, and handed it to her. Handle it yourself. $50,000? That's less than the cost of a single gear in my watch, as long as she's happy. As she took the card, her fingertip lightly scratched my palm, a silent, familiar signal. We had rehearsed this routine countless times over the past 5 years, she would ask. I would give, and I'd receive an intimate night as my reward. Where's the heart-wrenching drama? Where's the I'll never let you go? Did he get the wrong script? Upside down shit-eater, the shit's still warm, when's the live stream? We're waiting. I watched her look at me like she'd seen a ghost and sneered internally. Keep acting. Go on. Weren't you the one scheming to get away? Who are you putting on this struck-by-lightning act for? Willow's lips trembled, her voice a little shaky. You want a divorce? Huh? I almost laughed out loud. Ms. Dawson, I tapped my finger on the agreement. It's in black and white. You handed me this divorce agreement. You're the one who wants the divorce. Isn't tricking me into signing it a hassle? You could have just been direct. I pushed the signed agreement in front of her. The money, is it all split properly? I asked again, my tone light. It's all split, she answered instinctively, her gaze still dazed and filled with disbelief. Good. I stood up, my movements crisp and decisive. Let's go. Go? But tonight, I turned away from her approaching lips. I still have some work to do. You go shower first. Oh, okay, she gave me a hug and skipped happily toward the bathroom. Soon the sound of running water filled the air. I stood before her vanity. Dozens of lipsticks were scattered across the crystal-encrusted surface, each tube bearing a custom gilded logo of her name. Suddenly I noticed a flyer for a university startup competition tucked underneath everything. In the winner's photo, a handsome young man in a cheap suit was smiling shyly at the camera. It was Ethan Miller. What was strange was the lower right corner of the photo, where someone had drawn a small heart in lipstick. I picked up the flyer. The back was printed with the contestant's contact information. Next to a QR code for his social media was a line of elegant handwriting, "Go, Ethan, your big sis." The sound of the shower stopped abruptly. A moment later, Vivian emerged, wrapped in a sheer negligee. She was even more bewildered. Where? To City Hall, of course. I looked at her as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. Aren't we getting a divorce? Strike while the iron's hot. It's still morning, they haven't closed yet. I glanced at a non-existent clock on the wall. Let's hurry, I'm on a schedule. You're on a schedule? Willow repeated my words like a parrot. The complex emotions on her face had morphed into pure shock and a hint of panic. In the original plot, she held all the cards, secretly enjoying my suffering. And now? Her plan was in disarray, and she was panicking. The audience comments had already exploded like fireworks. He's on a schedule? Is he in a hurry to get reincarnated? City Hall? Right now? Willow's stunned, ha ha ha, her CPU just fried. Wasn't this supposed to be the start of a 10-year angsty romance? The male lead just skipped straight to the finale. Upside down shit-eater, hey buddy, you there? Is this tragic enough for you from the male lead's POV? She threw her arms around my neck and whispered, sincere, the luckiest thing that ever happened to me was meeting you. A long, passionate night began. I rarely visited Vivian's university, but today was an exception. The Hawthorne Group had a partnership program with S University, and as a member of the Board of Trustees, I was invited to attend an entrepreneurial forum at the business school. On stage, a professor in a sharp suit was speaking eloquently, but my gaze was fixed on a figure in the guest section, Vivian. She was wearing a beige suit from Chanel's latest collection, her long hair and soft curls. She held a pen, writing intently in a notebook. Intently! I narrowed my eyes. Leaning forward slightly, I tried to see what she was writing. Her notebook was tilted just enough for me to get a clear view of the dense script. Ethan, you were amazing at the forum today. Your project is definitely going to be a success. I believe in you. Same place tonight? I ignored the scarlet text scrolling past and raised an eyebrow at Willow, who was still frozen in place. What? Having second thoughts? My tone was playful. Don't want to get divorced anymore? She snapped back to reality, her gaze instantly sharpening, like a cat whose tail had been stepped on. We are getting divorced. She practically gritted the words out, snatching the agreement. Let's go now, that's more like it. I nodded with a smile, heading for the door first. If you'd been like this from the start, we could have saved everyone a lot of time. I walked out without a backward glance, leaving the female lead standing there, clutching the signed papers. Her face was a shifting canvas of pale and livid, spectacular. The audience went completely insane. Damn, this male lead is savage. The female lead's face is green, ha ha ha. Quick, follow them, I want a live broadcast from City Hall. If this divorce actually goes through, what the hell happens to the original plot? A faint smile played on her lips as her fingertips gently caressed the page, as if stroking something precious. My expression remained impassive as I lifted my coffee and took a sip. Bitter. After the forum, I was waiting for my driver at the university gate. Vivian came jogging over, her cheeks flushed and her breathing a little ragged. "Sincere, what are you doing here?" She looked up at me, her eyes filled with surprise, as if she truly had no idea I would be attending. I looked down at her, my eyes landing on her slightly disheveled collar. A very faint lipstick stain, smudged on the pristine white fabric. It was a shade of pinkish orange, the same color she was wearing today. "The forum was interesting," I said flatly. Her eyes lit up, and she immediately linked her arm with mine. "Right? Ethan's project has so much potential." Even the dean was nodding when he gave his speech today. Her tone was filled with undisguised pride, as if showing off a prized pet she'd raised herself. What the hell, the male lead is definitely playing hard to get. Chapter 2. Willow and I walked downstairs, one after the other. Her steps were a bit unsteady, she clearly hadn't fully recovered. The audience chattered away. "Keep up, keep up. Are they really going to City Hall? I'll bet you $5 it won't happen. There's got to be a twist. Here comes the twist." A black SUV with official government plates screeched to a precise halt in front of the City Hall entrance. The door flew open, and a young man in civilian clothes jumped out. He had a buzz cut, radiated energy, and had eyes as sharp as knives. I knew him. Ethan Reed. In the original novel, he was Willow's university classmate, the devoted supporting male character, who had a crush on her for years. Later, he disappeared with her to do research and eventually won her heart, the so-called winner in life. He got out of the car and rushed straight to Willow, his gaze sweeping over me warily, like a wolfhound protecting its pup. I gently withdrew my arm, pulled a cigarette case from my inner jacket pocket, and slowly tapped one out. "Sincere?" she asked, looking at me with a hint of confusion. I didn't answer. I just lit the cigarette, took a deep drag, and let the smoke curl in my lungs before exhaling slowly. "Vivian," I began, my voice low, "have you been a bit too concerned with this underclassman lately?" Her expression froze for a second, then she smiled even more sweetly. "Of course not. I just think he's very talented and wanted to help him out." "Help him?" I scoffed, flicking the ash from my cigarette. "With my money?" Her smile finally faltered. In the distance, a red sports car was slowly approaching the Porsche 911 I'd bought her. The window rolled down, and in the driver's seat a handsome young man was looking our way. Ethan Miller. The color drained from Vivian's face. I crushed the cigarette, my gaze sweeping between her and Ethan before finally settling on her trembling fingertips. "Vivian," I asked softly. "Willow," his voice was loud and concerned. "Are you okay? Did he give you any trouble?" He stood in front of Willow, shielding her, his posture straight as he addressed me with a scolding tone. "Sincere Collins, I'm warning you. Stop pestering Willow, she's not like you. She has more important things to do, a national-level mission. It's not something a money-grubbing merchant like you could ever understand. Don't ruin her future." Oh wow, the man himself has arrived. In the original story, the protagonist was repeatedly provoked by this two-faced schemer, which led him to torment the female lead, making Willow even more determined to leave. The audience instantly reached a fever pitch. Here he is, the White Knight, classic moral high ground male lead, get mad. Fight, fight, fight. I looked at Ethan's righteous expression, as if he were protecting some priceless treasure. "Tonight, are you taking my car home or his?" I had the driver take Vivian home first. She sat in the passenger seat, her fingers clenched tightly around the seatbelt, glancing at me from time to time as if she wanted to speak but didn't dare. I kept my head down, scrolling through financial reports on my tablet, my expression calm, as if the confrontation at the university gate had never happened. But some things, once torn open, can never be pretended away. The car stopped in front of Hillcrest Manor, and Vivian finally broke the silence. "Sincere, did you misunderstand something?" I looked up, my gaze landing coolly on her face. She bit her lip, her eyes turning red. "There's really nothing between Ethan and me. I think he has a lot of potential and wanted to give him a hand." "A hand?" I chuckled, swiped a finger across my tablet, pulled up a file, and handed it to her. "Transaction records from the last 3 months." The color drained from Vivian's face instantly. Then I looked past him at Willow, who was frowning slightly, seeming to want to say something but ultimately remaining silent. Suddenly, I laughed, a brilliant, beaming smile, even brighter than when I'd signed the divorce papers. I didn't even look at Ethan. My gaze went straight over his shoulder to Willow's face, my voice just loud enough for everyone to hear. "Willow, this isn't a good look for you." I pointed at Ethan, my tone casual. "Look at your friend from university. He's so anxious he's about to burst. Like Mr. Second Choice just waiting for his turn." Ethan's face changed dramatically. "What nonsense are you talking?" Willow's eyes widened too. I held up a hand in a stop gesture, the smile never leaving my face. "What's the rush?" "Congratulations, Ethan, you've finally been waiting for this day, haven't you? Here, she's right here. I've already signed the divorce papers. Go on, City Hall is open." I gestured casually towards the main entrance with my chin, my tone incredibly sincere. "The second I walk out, you can walk in with your Willow, who has more important things to do. Tuition, living expenses, startup capital, even his mother's medical bills." I read aloud in a slow, deliberate voice. "Vivian, you seem to care more about him than you do about me." Her fingers trembled, and a hint of panic crept into her voice. "Sincere, let me explain." "No need to explain." I took the tablet back, my tone even. "I have a business dinner tonight. I won't be back." The moment the car door closed, I saw her through the window, standing there, pale, as if all her confidence had been stripped away. But this was far from enough. Half an hour later, on the top floor of the Hawthorne Group Tower, my personal assistant, Charles Lawson, was already waiting in my office, holding a newly compiled file. "Mr. Hawthorne, I have the information," he said, handing me the folder. "Miss Ashwood's contact with Ethan Miller is more frequent than we initially thought." I opened the file, my eyes scanning pages of security camera screenshots, chat logs, and spending records. A seamless transition. How perfect. I even patted Ethan's stiff shoulder, giving him a look that said, "I believe in you, man. Good luck, take good care of her from now on." I wish you both happiness. After saying that, I even gave him a thumbs up. Ethan was completely dumbfounded. His face alternated between red and white. You, he pointed at me, his lips trembling. "You're slandering me." "My friendship with Willow is completely pure," he shouted loudly. But his eyes, beyond his control, darted for a split second towards Willow behind him. In that glance, a flicker of irrepressible joy and anticipation flashed by. I saw it clearly. The audience comments exploded. "Goddamn Mr. Second Choice! Seamless transition, ha ha ha, the male lead's tongue is venomous. A pure revolutionary friendship? Ethan, do you even believe that yourself?" The first document contained the chat history between Vivian and Ethan. "Vivian, today's meeting was so boring. All I could think about was what you said last night, Ethan. I wear the shirt you got me every day. All my classmates are so jealous I have such a thoughtful big sis. Vivian, he's flying to Singapore tonight. Same place?" The second document was a statistical summary of their meetings. They met at least 3 times a week, at locations including cafes, the library, and even Ethan's rented apartment. The luxury goods Vivian bought for him, from clothes to watches, totaled over $300,000. The most ironic part was that Ethan had been bragging to his classmates about bagging a sugar mama. In the chat logs, he referred to Vivian as his ATM big sis. "What about Miller's background check?" "Average grades, failed 3 courses. Charles pulled up Ethan's academic record. But he's very active in student groups, often showing off the luxury gifts he receives from a beautiful older sister. Holy crap, that look he just gave the female lead, perfect. He's definitely up to something. Male lead is a badass, called him out directly. Ethan is panicking. I wish you both happiness. Ha ha ha, that's a fatal blow. The female lead's face turned green. Ha ha ha. Willow's face instantly went deathly pale. She yanked on Ethan's sleeve, her voice filled with unprecedented panic and exasperation. "Ethan, shut up." She then whipped her head towards me. Her eyes a chaotic mix of emotions, anger, shock, and a sliver of humiliation I couldn't quite decipher. "Sincere, Colin, stop talking nonsense, me?" I shrugged, looking innocent. "Am I? I'm just helping things along, fulfilling the destiny of you two." I paused deliberately, watching Ethan's aggrieved face, wanting to defend himself but unable to hide his secret delight, and Willow, who was trembling with anger. I slowly uttered the final 2 words, "Lovebirds." Ethan's face turned the color of liver. Willow was so angry her eyes turned red. I retracted my gaze, satisfied. I couldn't be bothered to watch this performance of pure friendship any longer. Last month, a girl from the literature department gave him a Mont Blanc fountain pen. When Miss Ashwood found out, she immediately bought him a limited edition Patek Philippe. My finger paused on the last photograph under the cover of night. Vivian was on her tiptoes, kissing Ethan's cheek. The date on the photo was from the day I left on a business trip last month. Notify the finance department. Freeze all supplementary cards under Vivian Ashwood's name. My voice was terrifyingly calm. And prepare a complete financial audit and a legal assessment report. Mr. Hawthorne, are you planning to, since she enjoys playing this charity game so much, I said, turning back to my desk, then let's have her experience what it truly means to lose everything. Charles asked in a low voice. How should we proceed? I leaned back slowly in my chair. We're going to slowly, methodically ruin them. The prey is more interesting when you slowly corner it. The next day, at the S University Incubation Center. I glanced at the non-existent watch on my wrist. All right, let's not waste any more time. Hurry up and get the paperwork done. After that, you two can do whatever you want. I need to get lunch. I'm hungry. With that, I stuffed my hands in my pockets and walked around the petrified Ethan and the trembling Willow. I headed towards the entrance of City Hall. The audience went wild. He's hungry. All he's thinking about is food. Lovebirds, ha ha ha, the male lead is an expert at sarcasm. Male lead hides his deeds and reputation.jpg. This plot has derailed so hard its own mother wouldn't recognize it. The female lead and supporting male are being publicly executed so satisfying. Where's the system? Someone come and control this glitched protagonist. Chapter 3. I walked up the steps to City Hall with a spring in my step. Willow and Ethan were still frozen by the car, the atmosphere fatally awkward. The audience was still spamming. He's going in, he's going in. Are they really getting divorced? Just then, I stood at the end of the hall watching Ethan Miller in the conference room, excitedly explaining his startup project. The few investors sitting in the audience were all people I had arranged. His PowerPoint was flashy, but the content was hollow, with several data points clearly fabricated. But Vivian sat in the front row, looking up at him with eyes full of adoration. I walked slowly into the conference room. Every eye in the room instantly turned to me. Ethan's presentation came to an abrupt halt, his face stiffening. Vivian shot to her feet, her voice trembling slightly. Sincere, what are you doing here? I ignored her, walking straight up to Ethan and picking up his business proposal. Your business model is full of holes, and the financial projections are pure fantasy. I looked up, a cold smile on my face. And you have the nerve to ask for investment with this? The room was silent. A woman in a white dress, looking as fragile as a leaf, suddenly darted out from behind a nearby pillar. Her eyes were red-rimmed, as if she'd suffered a great injustice. Vivian Montgomery. In the original novel, she was the phony who appeared pure and harmless but was deeply scheming. She was the hero responsible for creating several coincidences that deepened the misunderstandings between the original protagonist and Willow, torturing Willow to the brink. Of course, the original male lead went along with it, testing whether the female lead's feelings for him were genuine. The result was more misunderstandings, as both of them had hearts but no mouths, leading to all sorts of friction and doubt. And now the phony was here too. The plot really couldn't wait. Ethan's face went from pale to flushed, his fingers clutching the presentation script so tightly his knuckles turned white. Vivian rushed over and grabbed my sleeve. Sincere, Ethan is just inexperienced, but he's really trying hard. I turned to look at her, my voice gentle but every word a dagger. Vivian, are you sure you want to plead his case in front of all these people? Her hand flinched as if burned, and she let go of my sleeve. As I turned to leave, I heard Ethan's gritted teeth snarl from behind me. Vivian Ashwood, didn't you say he doesn't care how you spend his money? See? The drama of dogs turning on each other is always so entertaining. I stood by the floor-to-ceiling window of Hillcrest Manor, a glass of whiskey in my hand, the ice slowly melting in the amber liquid. When Vivian came in, she looked flustered, sincere. Her voice trembled. I need to talk to you. I didn't turn around, just gazed at the bustling city lights outside. About what? The audience was instantly thrilled. Here she is, the classic phony. Legendary scene, quick male lead protect the phony. The original protagonist loved this act. The female lead's heart is about to break again. Vivian scurried a few steps, blocking my path directly, lifting her face, her tears on the verge of falling. Her voice was soft and timid with a hint of a sob. "Sincere, darling. I'm sorry, it's all my fault," she sniffled, her gaze drifting towards the rigid Willow behind me before quickly pulling it back, full of guilt. Is it because of me that Big Sis Willow wants to divorce you? Please don't blame Big Sis Willow. It's all Vivi's fault. I'll leave right now. Please don't get a divorce, okay?" The whole performance was flawless, reeking of phoniness. According to the original novel, the protagonist should be heartbroken at this point, immediately comforting her and growing even more annoyed with the unreasonable Willow. Willow, watching from behind, would surely turn paler, her heart growing colder. She came up behind me, her fingers tentatively gripping the sleeve of my suit, just as she had countless times before when she wanted something. "I know you're angry, but there's really nothing between Ethan and me. He's just an underclassman. An underclassman?" I let out a soft laugh and finally turned around, my icy gaze fixed on her face. "An underclassman worth over $300,000, an underclassman worth visiting at his apartment late at night? An underclassman worth..." I pulled my phone from my pocket and opened the photo from the investigation. In the picture, Vivian was on her tiptoes, kissing Ethan on the lips. The color drained from her face. Her fingers went limp, releasing my sleeve, and she stumbled back a few steps. "Sincere, let me explain." Her voice was already laced with tears. "Explain what?" I put my phone away, my tone terrifyingly calm. "Explain how you used my money to keep another man? Or explain how you told me I love you most, Sincere, while sleeping with him?" Her pupils constricted, as if she never expected me to be so blunt. The audience was waiting for the show. Wow, that phoniness is overpowering. Male lead, comfort her. The female lead's face is so dark. The classic love triangle angst, here we go. I stopped. I looked at Ms. Montgomery before me on the verge of tears, acting as if she were the center of the universe. I smiled, not the brilliant smile from before. This one was playful, a little cold and tinged with impatience. "You?" I scanned her up and down, my eyes looking at her like she was a rock on the side of the road. My voice wasn't loud, but it was crystal clear. "Who the hell are you?" Vivian was dumbfounded. Willow was stunned too. Was that a hint of joy in her eyes as she looked at me? Vivian's tears were instantly stuck in her eyes, her expression frozen. Sincere, darling." She was baffled, unable to believe it. I frowned, my tone dripping with undisguised disgust. "Don't call me that. Do I know you? You're in the way. Please move." I started to walk around her. Vivian panicked and grabbed my sleeve. "Sincere, darling, it's me, Vivian Montgomery. How could you—" "Let go." My voice turned cold. My glare swept over her. "No, Sincere," Vivian said desperately. "I swear I never slept with him. And this," she pointed at the photo. "I wasn't thinking straight that day. I'd had a little to drink. But it was just one kiss." She sobbed. I regretted it immediately. "Apart from that one time, nothing else happened. You're so powerful you can check. There was really nothing else between us. I was wrong. I just got used to the flattery and the attention. I've always loved you, and I feel terrible about this." The investigation had, in fact, found no evidence that she had slept with Ethan. But so what? Is emotional betrayal not still betrayal? I advanced on her slowly until her back was against the cold wall, with nowhere to retreat. "Vivian Ashwood." I leaned in, my voice a cold whisper by her ear. "Do you know what I hate most?" She trembled, too scared to answer. "Betrayal." "I didn't. Sincere, you can check." "Emotional betrayal is still betrayal," I roared. Vivian froze, choking on her sobs. Vivian shuddered in fear and subconsciously released her grip. I dusted off the sleeve she had touched, as if it were contaminated with something filthy. Only then did my gaze properly land on her face, which was etched with shock and hurt. My tone was as flat as if I were discussing how to sort trash. "Oh, Vivian Montgomery. Doesn't ring a bell, but—" My lips curled, that impatient, cold smirk returning. "Listen closely. I'm divorcing Willow because she—" I pointed to the pale-faced Willow at the bottom of the steps. "Wants to. Does it have anything to do with you?" I scoffed. "Not a damn thing. Who the hell do you think you are? Why are you trying to write yourself into this scene? Get lost." With that, I didn't spare her another glance. I turned and walked away, crisp and decisive, leaving Vivian completely petrified on the spot. The color had drained from her face. This time the tears really fell, from anger and from fear. The audience, "Holy crap, 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 crap." I straightened up and pulled a document from my inner jacket pocket, one I had prepared earlier, and held it in front of her. Asset freeze declaration. As of today, all bank cards, credit cards, and membership accounts in your name are frozen, I stated methodically. That engagement ring on your finger was my mother's family heirloom. Now give it back to me. Her tears finally fell, her hand flying to cover the ring as she shook her head desperately. "Sincere, I know I was wrong. Please give me another chance." "A chance?" I sneered. "I've given you far too many." I reached out, grabbed her wrist firmly, and began to slide the ring from her finger. Her nails dug into the back of my hand, drawing red lines, but I didn't even flinch. "Charles," I called toward the door. My personal assistant immediately entered, holding a file. "Miss Ashwood, this is a detailed list of all funds you have drawn from Mr. Hawthorne's accounts over the past 2 years, Charles said, his face impassive. "Who is he? Where is he? What did he just say? Who the hell do you think you are? Get lost." Damn, did the male lead get possessed? The phony's expression is cracking, ha. Legendary scene, the phony's epic fail. The male lead isn't falling for it anymore. This plot twist caught me completely off guard. Upside down, shit-eater, are you still there? Does your face hurt? At the bottom of the steps. Willow was also stunned. She looked at Vivian's devastated, disbelieving, and miserable state. Then she looked at my back as I walked into City Hall without a moment's hesitation. Her expression was complex beyond measure. There was astonishment, confusion, and a tiny, almost imperceptible waver. Ethan was beside her, comforting her in a low voice. "Willow, ignore them. Sincere Collins has lost his mind." Willow didn't speak. She just silently pulled her arm away from Ethan's supportive hand, and on her own she followed me up the steps. "This includes the $237,000 you transferred to Ethan Miller, as well as the luxury goods, medical bills, and other expenses paid on his behalf. The Hawthorne Group's legal department has already prepared a lawsuit. If you are unable to return the full amount within 30 days, we will sue you for embezzlement of property." Vivian's face went completely white. Her legs gave out and she collapsed onto the floor. "No, Sincere, you can't do this." She looked up at me, her face a mess of tears. "You promised I could have that money. You said I could spend it however I wanted." "Yes, I did," I said, looking down at her, "but I never said you could use my money to keep a boy toy." I turned and walked toward the door without a moment's hesitation. "Wait," she suddenly lunged forward, wrapping her arms around my legs. "Sincere, I really know I was wrong. I'll never do it again. Forgive me this one time, I promise." I looked down at her. The audience was in a complete uproar. The female lead is following him. Did the male lead really just toss the phony aside like trash? Can this plot get any more ridiculous? "City Hall, let's go. I want to see them stamp the papers." Chapter 4. Inside City Hall, the air conditioning was blasting, making it chilly. Willow and I sat across from each other at a desk. The clerk was expressionless, asking a few questions in a formulaic manner. "You brought the divorce agreement? Both parties confirm its terms?" "Brought it." "Confirmed." We spoke almost in unison. The clerk lowered his head and started filling out forms. Willow gripped her pen, her knuckles turning white. She didn't sign immediately. Her gaze fell on my face, scrutinizing and with a hint of subtle probing. A few seconds of silence passed. The audience comments started scrolling. "The female lead is hesitating? Is there a chance? Male lead talk her out of..." "Talk her out of what?" Her exquisite makeup was smeared by tears. Her expensive dress wrinkled and pooled on the floor. The woman who was once as proud as a peacock now looked as pathetic as a stray dog. "Vivian Ashwood." I slowly crouched down, grabbing her chin and forcing her to look at me. "Remember this day, because from this moment on you are bankrupt." 3 days later, on the S University campus forum, an anonymous post exploded. "Finance Department's goddess, Vivian Ashwood, exposed, cheating on billionaire fiancé, scammed him out of over $300,000. The post detailed their chat logs, intimate photos, and the bank transfers from Vivian to Ethan. Public opinion erupted. Vivian's social media accounts were unearthed, and the comment sections were flooded. "She acts so high and mighty. Turns out she's just a gold digger LMAO. The sugar daddy found out he was raising an ungrateful snake and kicked her to the curb, heard she was thrown out of the mansion. Now she can't even afford tuition. Ethan didn't fare any better. The male lead just wants to eat lunch. She suddenly spoke, her voice soft but every word clear. Sincere. You're very different today. Are you done with Vivian Montgomery? She paused, as if choosing her words, her expression complicated. So, you regret it? Is that why you're acting like this? Huh? I almost burst out laughing. Regret? Regret not getting rid of you, this troublesome affair, sooner? I looked up at her, I get it now expression, and cut right to the chase. Stop right there, Miss Dawson. I tapped my finger on the divorce agreement in front of her, my tone calm. Don't overthink it. I'm signing this because you want to get divorced. It has absolutely nothing to do with all the messy people and things you're talking about. I never took any of them seriously, understand? I leaned forward slightly, staring into her eyes, a cold smile playing on my lips, including you. So, I gestured toward the agreement with my chin, urging her on. Sign it. What are you waiting for? Remember, you're the one who wants this. You can have regrets, but me? His startup project was exposed for data fabrication. The investors collectively withdrew, and the university was even considering revoking his graduate school acceptance. Worse, the Hawthorne Group's legal department officially sent him a letter demanding the return of all improper gains. And all of this was just the beginning. Rainwater dripped down the rusty fire escape, forming a murky puddle at Vivian's feet. She clutched the handle of her suitcase, standing at the door of a low-income apartment. Rents $1,500 a month, deposit, and 3 months' rent up front. The landlord chewed on a piece of tobacco, spittle landing on the peeling doorframe. The girl next door works at a nightclub. It gets a little loud at night. The 150-square-foot room smelled of mildew, with yellowed mold spots visible where the paint had peeled. Vivian stood in the doorway, the hem of her Gucci dress brushing against a sticky stain on the frame. A loud argument, followed by the sound of a smashing bottle, erupted from the floor above. I scoffed and leaned back in my chair, my posture relaxed. Not a chance. Once this is signed, all the troublesome people and things will be cleared away. I can do what I want, clear-headed and free. Got it? The audience, nay, never took any of them seriously, including the female lead. Troublesome people and things. The female lead is a nuisance. Damn critical hit that was a fatal blow. Is this male lead's tongue dipped in poison? The female lead's expression just shattered. Ha ha. Willow's face instantly became incredibly ugly. The hand holding the pen trembled slightly, out of anger. She took a deep breath as if making a final decision, and scribbled her name in a few quick strokes. The pen tip nearly tore through the paper. The clerk started stamping the documents. The process was swift. The steel seal came down. Clank. A soft sound. The dust settled. 2 small, dark red booklets were pushed in front of us. The noise made Vivian frown. This place is awful. Can you go any lower on the price? Take it or leave it. The landlord turned to go. If you don't want it, there's a line of people waiting to see it. Wait, don't go. Vivian called him back. She mechanically pulled out the last of her cash. When the rusty security door slammed shut behind her, Vivian buried her face in her hands and wept. She didn't want to go back home. Her father would kill her. She deeply regretted her foolishness. She wanted Sincere's forgiveness. At least living here she was closer to his home. Maybe if Sincere saw how miserable I am, he'd soften and forgive me. After all, he used to dote on me so much. A light rain began to fall. Vivian stood in front of the Hawthorne Group headquarters, soaked to the bone, her long hair plastered to her pale face. She had lost her high heels somewhere along the way. Her stockings were torn and soaked, and her expensive dress clung to her body like a wrinkled rag. The clerk spoke officially. All right, from this moment on, your marriage is dissolved. I reached out and decisively picked up my copy. Without even looking at it, I shoved it into my pocket, as if it were a piece of scrap paper. Willow, however, stared at her divorce certificate for several seconds. Then she looked up at me, as if she had finally regained control, her tone carrying a deliberately emphasized distance and a hint of, a declaration? Sincere. Now that we're divorced, there are some things I can tell you. The place I'm going is very far away, and the work I'll be doing is very important. She paused, her voice unconsciously taking on a tone of inherent pride and mission. It's a national-level classified research project. Won't be back for a very long time. You. She seemed to want to say something, a warning, or a final line drawn in the sand. A security guard stood by the entrance holding an umbrella, his eyes showing a flicker of pity but mostly indifference. "Miss Ashwood, you should go home." The guard sighed. "Mr. Hawthorne said he won't see you." She looked up, rainwater streaming down her lashes like tears. "Please, just let me see him." Her voice was hoarse, her fingers digging into the pavement. "Just for 5 minutes. No, 3 minutes will do." The guard shook his head. "Mr. Hawthorne has an important meeting today. Please don't make my job difficult." Inside the building's glass doors, a few employees were stealing glances and whispering, "Is that Vivian Ashwood? Wasn't she so glamorous before? Serves her right using Mr. Hawthorne's money to keep a boy toy. Now that she's been dumped, she's back playing the victim. I heard they even took back her apartment. She's living in a slum now." Vivian heard their piercing comments and wished the ground would swallow her whole. She had never been so humiliated. The audience comments immediately flew by. There it is, dedicating herself to the nation. The female lead is revealing her trump card. Male lead, get on your knees and repent. A top scientist male lead, you have no idea what you've missed. The desperate chase begins if the scumbag doesn't get roasted this time. I'm really eating shit upside down. I nodded, my expression perfectly calm, even a little sincere. "Oh, that's great. Bringing glory to the country. I believe in you." My tone was as casual as if I were commenting on the nice weather. I even gave her a standard encouraging smile. "Good luck. Willow." The rest of her words were stuck in her throat. Her prepared distance, warnings, and even that hidden sense of superiority all crumbled in an instant. She was utterly stunned. She looked at me suspiciously. Her eyes were scanning me like a precision instrument that had suffered a catastrophic failure. "You..." Her brow furrowed tightly, her tone filled with incredulous suspicion. "Sincere, are you trying to..." She chose her words carefully, finally voicing what she thought was the most logical explanation. And she had never realized so clearly what she had lost. Flashback. 3 days ago when she was kicked out of Hillcrest Manor, she only had time to grab a handbag. All her cards were frozen. She couldn't even afford a taxi. She stood on the roadside trying to contact the besties who had once fawned over her, only to receive cold replies. "Vivian, it's not that I don't want to help, but Mr. Hawthorne has made it clear. Anyone who helps you is going against him. Are you insane? You cross Sincere Hawthorne for some poor student? What's the point of coming to me now?" In the end, she had to drag her suitcase to the nearest cheap rental she could find. The room was small and damp. The bedsheets had suspicious stains, and the bathroom faucet dripped endlessly. She sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the meager balance on her phone, and finally broke down completely. She truly had nothing left. Present day, the rain grew heavier. "Play hard to get? Me?" I really couldn't hold it in. A pft escaped my lips, and I burst out laughing on the spot. The sound was jarringly loud in the quiet office. Even the clerk looked up at me. Willow's face flushed crimson, from anger and from humiliation. I wiped a tear of laughter from the corner of my eye and looked at her, speaking each word with perfect clarity. "Play hard to get? Ms. Dawson, you're overthinking it." My smile vanished and my expression became dead serious with a hint of pity. "Get what? Get who?" I shook my head, stood up, my tone firm and filled with the lightness of someone truly liberated and utterly certain. "Not getting anything. Don't want to get anything. Have no interest in getting anything." I pointed at her, then at myself, and finally towards the bustling world outside the hall. "Let's be clear. The two of us are now completely unrelated. Research is a good thing. I wish you success. As for me..." Vivian's legs were numb, but she stood there stubbornly, as if it were her last hope. Finally, a black Maybach glided into the building's underground parking garage. The window was half open, and she caught a glimpse of Sincere's profile, cold, indifferent, not even sparing her a single glance. Sincere. She shot to her feet and staggered after the car, but the security guard blocked her way. "Sincere, let me explain," she screamed, her voice raw. "I really know I was wrong, just give me one more chance." The car continued without pausing, disappearing into the garage and out of her sight. Vivian collapsed onto the ground, rainwater and tears mixing in her mouth, a bitter, salty taste. She knew she had been utterly abandoned. I stood at my office window, looking down at the tiny figure below. Charles stood behind me, reporting in a low voice. "Mr. Hawthorne, Miss Ashwood is still standing downstairs. Should I leave her?" I turned, taking a sip of the coffee on my desk. "Let's see how long she can stand." "And about Ethan Miller?" I patted the pocket with the divorce certificate, my eyes bright, and a smile spread across my face again, this time genuinely cheerful. "The world is my oyster." "Love?" I scoffed, my voice full of mockery. "Can you eat that? Isn't making money better? I'm out." With that, I turned and left. My steps were so light I could have flown, leaving Willow all alone, clutching that brand new divorce certificate, still smelling of fresh ink, sitting frozen in her chair, her expression completely blank, utterly and completely baffled. After a brief moment of dead silence, the audience comments exploded. "Isn't making money better? Holy crap, 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 an iconic line, legendary. Get who? Ha ha ha, the male lead is hilarious. The female lead CPU has completely fried, I can see the smoke. Play hard to get, male lead, get my ass, I'm gonna make money. Upside down shit eater, get in here, come and see a god. This divorce, the male lead is truly unleashed." Top scientist? "Has the legal notice been delivered?" "Yes, but he currently has no ability to repay the debt. The university has also rescinded his scholarship." I chuckled softly. "Then let's make him a little more desperate." Charles understood immediately and made a call. "Inform all our corporate partners that the name Ethan Miller is to be placed on the Hawthorne Group's blacklist. I wanted them both to fully understand the meaning of no way out." The morning rush hour subway was packed like a can of sardines. Vivian hadn't wanted to take the subway, but she was out of money. She had an appointment at a consignment shop to sell one of her designer bags for some cash. On the train, she was squashed between the smells of sweat and breakfast buns. Someone stepped on her new, cheap high heel, knocking it off. As she bent down to retrieve it, a man behind her pushed impatiently. "What's the hold up? The screen in the car was playing financial news." A glimpse of sincere Hawthorne's profile flashed across it. "Sorry, I'd rather make money, ha ha." Female lead is questioning her entire existence, ha ha ha. Next chapter, make money, make money, make money. This plot. It's derailed into the Sahara Desert, Chapter 5. Pushing open the heavy glass door, the midday sun was a bit blinding. That black SUV with the official plates was still parked there. Ethan had long since retreated to the driver's seat, showing only a cold, hard profile. Willow's steps faltered behind me, her eyes filled with a lost expression. The scarlet comments floated by on cue, sharp and piercing. "Something's wrong, the female lead's state isn't right." Did the male lead cast a spell on her? The divorce is final, what's she dawdling for? Where's the dedicate myself to the nation without regrets? Looks more like her soul's been sucked out. Upside down shit-eater, where's that warm shit? Judging by the female lead's empty and lonely expression, I think the male lead's about to win. Ethan rolled down the window, his voice carrying across the distance with a strong sense of urgency. She subconsciously touched her neck where a 7-figure diamond necklace used to sit. Now there was only a faint tan line. "This is from the new collection, 5,800. The sales associate at the Dior boutique gently pushed away Vivian's hand as she tried to touch a dress. Would Miss Ashwood like to try it on? Her eyes scanned the pilled cuffs of Vivian's sweater. "I'm not here to buy," Vivian said awkwardly. "I have an appointment for second-hand consignment." "Oh, I see," the associate pointed. "The buyback counter is over there." A familiar mocking laugh came from behind her. Her former friend Isabel Richardson was clinging to her new boyfriend's arm, deliberately raising her voice. "They let just anyone into these stores now. You'd think she'd look in a mirror first." Vivian didn't want to argue and hurried away. Isabel said to the new intern, "That's the one who got dumped by Mr. Hawthorne. I heard she used his family's money to keep a boy toy." "Willow, get in the car, we're on a tight schedule." His tone sounded like he was hailing a rocket about to launch. Willow seemed to be jolted awake, sucking in a sharp breath as her shoulders stiffened. She didn't look my way again. Instead, hurrying towards the SUV, her movements almost clumsy and flustered as she pulled open the door and climbed in. The door slammed shut with a bang, sealing off the outside world. The SUV's engine let out a low growl, quickly pulling into traffic and disappearing around the corner. I shrugged indifferently, only for a white figure radiating a thick aura of sorrow to once again block my path. Vivian Montgomery. She actually hadn't left. Her carefully styled hair fell beside her cheeks, her eyes as red as a rabbit's, the fragile persona she cultivated thick enough to cut with a knife. She tilted her face up, capturing my gaze with her tear-filled eyes, her voice holding back a sob, the end of her words trembling upwards. "I have no idea why you even let her in under the authentication light at the consignment shop." The owner pointed to a tiny crack on the edge of Vivian's Birkin bag. "There's a flaw here. 800 max." The owner put the bag back on the counter. "Besides, it's last year's model. Everyone's carrying the Chanel 22 now." She nodded helplessly. Finally, she walked out of the store clutching a wad of crumpled bills. "You have the nerve to come home?" Her father, Walter Ashwood, smashed a teacup at her feet. "This whole family was counting on you to marry into the Hawthorne family. And look what happened now, even my building materials orders have been canceled." Her mother, Eleanor Ashwood, stuffed a few bills into her hand. "Your cousin needs a sales assistant at her boutique. Go for an interview tomorrow." She paused, then added, "And don't tell them you're an Ashwood." Late at night, suggestive sounds echoed from the other side of the thin partition wall of her shared apartment. "Sincere darling, how did you become like this?" She took a tiny step forward, closing the distance to create a sense of intimacy. "I know you and Big Sis Willow got divorced. You must be so sad, right? You weren't like this before. Is it because I hurt you? Is that why you're being like this to me on purpose? I know I was wrong. Stop." I cut off her deeply rehearsed performance with a blank expression, not even bothering to raise an eyebrow. Patience when dealing with an irrelevant, persistent pest is a luxury. I pulled out my phone, unlocked it, and opened my payment app in one smooth motion. My fingers flew across the screen, and then I waved the successful transaction page in her face. $5,000, I said, my voice flat. "For mental distress. Take it." Vivian's tears froze in her eyes, her expression completely stiff, like a puppet that had been paused. What? She seemed completely unable to process this move. Compensation. I calmly put my phone back in my pocket. Vivian applied a cheap drugstore face mask, the harsh fragrance making her eyes water. Her phone suddenly lit up. A message from Ethan Miller flashed on the lock screen. "Vivian, I can't take it anymore. Sincere Hawthorne is trying to destroy us." She turned off the screen. The neon lights from outside filtered through the grimy curtains, casting a fragmented shadow on the face that had once captivated the city's wealthiest bachelors. A crowd had gathered in front of the announcement board at S University. Ethan pushed through, his eyes fixed on the newly posted scholarship list. National scholarship, his name wasn't on it. "How is this possible?" he muttered, his fists clenched so tight they turned white. Students around him whispered, occasionally glancing his way with undisguised contempt. "Did you hear? His startup project was all fake data. All the investors pulled out. Serves him right you don't leech off Sincere Hawthorne's girl and get away with it. Wow, a debt of over $100,000. For the oxygen and time you wasted in my presence. Vivian Montgomery." I leaned in slightly, my voice low but each word as clear as an icicle. "This is your final warning. Don't ever show your face in front of me again. The air you breathe." I paused, a deeply malicious smirk playing on my lips. It makes me sick to my stomach. Extremely polluting. Got it? Without giving her another moment or opportunity to perform, I walked straight past the completely petrified, phony statue. I got directly into my car. The door closed, shutting out the world. The engine started. In the rearview mirror, Vivian stood there, dumbstruck, her carefully crafted fragility shattered, leaving only a blank, pale face of utter humiliation. She looked like a cheap, faded doll abandoned on the roadside. The comments in my vision instantly exploded like brilliant fireworks. "Ha ha ha, $5,000 for mental distress male lead. Are you the devil?" Polluting the air, ha 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 ha, was his tongue soaked in acid. "He'll be paying that off for the rest of his life, right?" Ethan spun around abruptly, shoving his way out of the crowd. In the dean's office, his academic advisor pushed a letter across the desk. "Your graduate school acceptance has been revoked," the advisor said coolly. "You failed the comprehensive evaluation." Ethan's throat tightened. "Why?" "My grades were good enough." The advisor gave him a meaningful look. "Character issues. We received an anonymous tip." He understood instantly. Sincere Hawthorne's name didn't even need to be mentioned to destroy his entire future. In his shared apartment, the smell of mildew and instant noodles hung in the air. Ethan stared at his computer screen, the email in his inbox stinging his eyes. Dear Mr. Miller, we regret to inform you that the internship offer we extended has been rescinded due to strategic adjustments within the company. It was the only offer he'd received after sending out 27 resumes. And now, it was gone. The phony has ascended to heaven, her expression management system has completely crashed. A precision strike, a double blow of physical, the money transfer, and mental the insult, the male lead is a legend. So satisfying, I feel great, that's exactly how you should deal with phonies like her. Upside down shit. Eater is the male lead's move tragic enough from the phony's POV? Come on out, Chapter 6. Life became blissfully quiet. No crying ex-wife, no buzzing flies specifically referring to Vivian, and none of that other frustrating crap. The world was at peace. I threw myself wholeheartedly into making money. Meetings, financial reports, project oversight. My efficiency was terrifyingly high. The numbers in my bank account were jumping up as if they were on steroids. Awesome. He grabbed his phone and frantically dialed Vivian's number. No answer. 3 days later, a legal notice stamped with the red seal of the Hawthorne Group's legal department was delivered to him. Demand for repayment of improper gains, a total of $327,000. Ethan's hands began to shake. He could never earn that much money in his entire life. Late that night, Ethan cornered Vivian outside her apartment building. She looked even more haggard than the last time they'd met. Her once perfect makeup was gone, and her clothes were obviously cheap. Where's the money? Ethan grabbed her wrist, his voice raw. Hawthorne is demanding over $300,000 from me. Are you trying to get me killed? Vivian yanked her arm away, her eyes filled with disgust. Get lost, I can barely survive myself. If you hadn't seduced me, giving me money, would I be in this mess? Ethan's face was twisted with rage. Go beg sincere Hawthorne, you slept with him for years, didn't you? Occasionally, a few annoying scarlet comments would drift across the corner of my vision. Extra, the female lead is at the base out west, and she's not doing well. Yeah, that idiot Ethan was bad-mouthing the male lead to her again, and she snapped at him. Shut up, you're annoying, ha ha ha. Willow's been spacing out a lot lately. Even messed up the experiment data a few times. Her professor is pissed. Something's not right, this is very wrong. In the original novel, she should be pumped up and focused on research at this point. I didn't even bother to look up. Not my problem. Willow could do whatever she wanted. She was distracting me from my stock charts. The comments kept coming. Holy crap, huge news. Latest report from the front lines, the female lead went to the base hospital today. Lab results HCG positive. She's pregnant. This was in the original novel. The timing is right. Legendary scene alert. She's going to get an abortion. The scene where the male lead finds out and is devastated is coming up. Upside down shit eater, get back here. Your shit has a purpose now. I stared at the flickering numbers on my computer screen, feeling absolutely nothing. Oh, she's pregnant. Slap. A sharp slap landed across his face. You ruined me, Vivian screamed hysterically. You were the one who wanted all the luxury crap. You were the one who said all those disgusting things. Don't you dare play the victim. Now Ethan wiped a smear of blood from his lip and suddenly laughed. Vivian Ashwood, you think you're so clean? Who was the one sending me late-night texts? Who said sincere Hawthorne didn't understand you? He took a step closer. If I'm going down, you're coming with me at the consignment shop. The owner examined the watch Ethan had brought in. A Patek Philippe? This has to be fake, the owner sneered. I'll give you $300 for it. This watch is worth over $200,000, Ethan yelled, losing control. Take it or leave it. The owner tossed the watch back. The Hawthorne Group put the word out. Who would dare buy anything from you? Ethan froze, a cold dread washing over him. Late that night, in his tiny shared room, calculating the time, that night before the divorce, the original idiot did go at it for quite a while. Tisk. Troublesome. But, according to the original script, Ms. Dawson should be coldly booking an operating table right now, clean and simple. Then she'd use this proof to stab the original protagonist one more time, making his life a living hell. I know the whole routine. Great, get rid of the problem for good. I took a sip of my coffee. I didn't even pause. But the tone of the comments suddenly changed. Wait, she didn't book an appointment? She's been sitting on a bench in the hallway with the lab report all afternoon? That dumb mutt Ethan is pacing frantically. telling her to get rid of that bastard Spawn, but she shut him up with a single glare. Her professor talked to her, said the project is at a critical stage. And she's hesitating. She said she needs to think about it. Think about it. Ethan sat on his bed, staring at the business plan taped to the wall, what was once his dream. Now, it was covered in black holes from cigarette burns. His phone screen lit up with a text from an unknown number, Mr. Miller, regarding the reimbursement for your mother's surgery. An audit has revealed evidence of insurance fraud. The case has been turned over to the authorities. His hand began to tremble violently. With a final desperate cry, he hurled the phone against the wall. Hawthorne? He stared at the shattered screen on the floor, his expression shifting from despair to madness. You really want to push me to the edge, don't you? Starbucks, morning rush hour. There were coffee stains under Vivian's fingernails, and the cuffs of her cheap uniform were yellowed with milk stains. A burn mark scarred her wrist, a souvenir from spilling a hot Americano last week. Venti caramel macchiato. A man in a business suit tapped impatiently on the counter. Can you hurry it up? I'm in a rush. In the original novel, she signed the papers without blinking. Holy shit, the script has derailed again? Female lead, you're not following the rules. Hey, baby daddy, this is on you. I saw the words think about it spamming the comments. I raised an eyebrow. Is Willow still causing trouble? Is this system's plot correction that aggressive? It won't even let me off the hook for this? It wants me to accept a female lead who runs around with a baby bump? Annoying. Chapter 7. One afternoon, the scarlet comments in the corner of my vision suddenly exploded, so dense they nearly blurred my sight. WTF, 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 breaking news, the base hospital out west, something happened to the female lead. What happened? She was fine this afternoon. The baby is gone. The light for the operating room is on, nurses are rushing in and out, and they look grim. That moron Ethan is outside, squatting with his head in his hands, looking like a stray dog. Did he do it? Right away, sir, she mumbled, keeping her head down. The espresso machine roared to life, steam hitting her red, swollen hands. The pain brought tears to her eyes. She mechanically sealed the cup. As she looked up to hand it over, her gaze drifted through the window and suddenly froze. The sun was shining brightly in front of the Cartier jewelry store. She saw Sincere, dressed in a perfectly tailored black suit, standing by the entrance. And beside him stood a tall woman with a sharp bob, a designer beige suit, and a discreetly expensive watch on her wrist. The store manager was personally escorting them out, his smile deferential. Mr. Hawthorne, Miss Sinclair, the ring has been adjusted to your specifications. An assistant took the beautifully wrapped bag. Sincere turned his head slightly and said something to the woman beside him. She laughed, her expression radiating a confidence and poise Vivian had never possessed. They stood together, looking like they were born to stand side by side. Almost certainly he was the one who brought her a bowl of soup this afternoon. I'm reporting him that animal. I didn't even flinch, just took a sip of my coffee. The comments continued to scroll frantically. The lights off, they were wheeling her out. Her face is as white as paper. She's awake, she's awake. Her eyes are terrifying, just staring straight at the ceiling. Ethan rushed over, faking concern, asking, Willow, how are you? Holy crap, here comes the iconic scene. The female lead is speaking. Her voice is as hoarse as sandpaper. She just asked Ethan one thing. Why? That idiot Ethan is still trying to deny it. The comments paused for a moment. A few seconds later, the scarlet text exploded with an unprecedented level of shock. I tease a meltdown, a nuclear meltdown live on the scene. Ethan has lost his mind. He's completely insane. The female lead just asked, why? And he shot up like a lit firecracker. His eyes are bulging like a goldfish spittle, flying everywhere. He's screaming at the female lead, who's weak from a miscarriage and lying in a hospital bed. Why? The coffee cup slipped from Vivian's hand. Crash, scalding coffee splashed onto her pants and shoes, ceramic shards scattering across the floor. What is wrong with you? The customer roared. Do you have any idea how much this suit costs? The manager rushed over and grabbed her arm. Vivian, this is the third time this week. If you don't want to work here, then get out. But she couldn't hear him. Her eyes were locked on the scene outside. Sincere's gaze swept past the coffee shop, across the spot where she stood, without a hint of recognition, as if she were just another part of the scenery. He didn't even recognize her. A black Rolls-Royce Phantom pulled up silently to the curb. The chauffeur respectfully opened the door. Sincere placed a guiding hand on the smallest companion's back, as they gracefully entered the car. The sunlight glinted off the polished exterior, so bright it hurt Vivian's eyes. "What are you crying for?" The manager shoved her. "You're asking me why?" "Willow, I'm the one who wants to ask you. Why the hell, even now, are you still thinking about that bastard Collins? You're divorced, the baby is gone. Why are you still keeping that damn ultrasound picture? Hiding it like some kind of treasure?" The comments paused for a second, as if stunned by the thunderous roar, then gushed out even more frantically. Holy crap, he exposed himself. An ultrasound picture? The female lead kept it? Is that the point? The point is, Ethan knew she was hiding the ultrasound of Sincere's baby. He's been spying on her. That's terrifying. Ethan's performance was clearly not over. As the scarlet text continued to scroll at high speed, Ethan is still screaming, hysterically. 10 years I followed you around like a damn dog for 10 years at your beck and call. And for what? Did you ever even see me? Huh? Your damn heart is full of Sincere Collins, the one who hurt you the most, the one who threw you away like trash. Why? Clean this mess up, then go to HR and collect your final paycheck. Your fired tears mixed with spilled coffee, creating a dirty stain on the front of her cheap uniform. She finally completely understood the difference between the clouds and the mud. She couldn't accept it. She decided to make one last, desperate gamble. If she couldn't be his wife, she'd settle for being his mistress or even his servant. That night a storm raged outside Hillcrest Manor. Rain streamed from the ends of Vivian's hair. She was soaked to the bone, standing outside the villa's wrought iron gate, her fingers gripping the bars. The light from the security booth illuminated her pale face. Her once perfect makeup had been washed away, leaving behind dark circles under her eyes. Her lips were purple from the cold. Sincere, Sincere, she called out his name, her voice raw. I stood at the second-floor study window, coldly observing her pathetic state, like a stray cat caught in the rain, pitiful and pathetic. What does Sincere Collins have that I don't? He's just a money-grubbing, heartless swindler. How am I not better than him? The scarlet comments were instantly flooded with retorts. You son of a bitch, you drugged someone and caused a death. You're not even fit to be compared to the male lead's pinky toe. Disgusting 10 years of devotion? More like a perverted stalker. The original male lead was an idiot, but you're a goddamn animal. Ethan's one-man show reached its climax. He's yelling so hard the veins in his neck are bulging, spit flying everywhere. That's right, I brought the soup, I put the drug in it. I wanted to get rid of that spawn. Why? Why does he get to make you pregnant, make you pine for him even now? If I can't have you, he doesn't get to leave behind a souvenir. And Vivian Montgomery, you think she's some saint? Charles walked over with an umbrella and asked in a low voice, Mr. Hawthorne, should I have her removed? I was silent for a moment, then turned and went downstairs. The moment the main gate opened, Vivian's eyes lit up. She stumbled inside, trembling as if grasping her last lifeline. Sincere. She knelt on the ground, looking up at me, tears and rain streaming down her face. I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. I looked down at her, not offering a hand, not saying a word. She shuffled forward on her knees and grabbed my pant leg, her voice choked with sobs. I shouldn't have lied to you. I shouldn't have seen Ethan. But I swear, I never loved him. I've always loved you. Her hands clutched my trousers as if trying to rip her heart out to show me. I don't need money or jewelry. I don't need anything. I just want to come back to you, to love you properly. Her hot tears fell onto my shoes. Please, just give me one more chance. I slowly crouched down, grabbing her chin and forcing her to look up. All those years she was pretending to be your friend while stabbing you in the back, making you misunderstand Sincere, making you suffer. I was the one behind it all, feeding her the ideas, giving her the knife. Otherwise, how do you think there were? So many perfectly timed misunderstandings. So many perfectly timed setups. The audience went absolutely wild. Holy shit, he confessed everything, he even exposed that toxic phony Vivian. Huge news, so the male and female leads were tortured for years because these two scumbags were pulling the strings. Confirmed. The original male lead was an idiot, he was played for a complete fool. What about the female lead? What's her reaction? Cut the camera, the scarlet text immediately switched perspectives. The female lead, she's not saying anything. She's just lying there on the stark white hospital bed without a trace of color in her face. Her eyes are locked on the crazed Ethan, red-rimmed and terrifying, but not a single tear has fallen. That gaze, It's as cold as an icicle, like a poisoned dagger. My reflection stared back from her pupils, cold, calm, without a ripple of emotion. "Vivian," I let out a soft laugh. "Is it really me you love?" Her breath caught. "You love the power of the Hawthorne Group, the title of Mrs. Hawthorne, the life of extravagant spending." My fingers tightened slightly. "If I were the one going bankrupt today, would you still be kneeling here telling me you don't need anything?" The color drained from her face. "I would. Do you even believe the words coming out of your mouth?" I let go and stood up, looking down at her. "You can't even fool yourself. Sincere, please take me back. Even if I can't be your wife, I can be your mistress, your maid. I just want to be with you. I don't care about anything else. I can't live without you. Unfortunately for you, I can live very well without you." "Get out," I said coldly, turning to leave. "Don't make me say it again." She collapsed on the floor as if her soul had been ripped from her body. After Ethan finished his tirade, he met her gaze and instantly went silent, like a rooster being strangled. The entire room is dead silent. The silence didn't last long as more news came from the comments. "The director of the base is here. His face could kill." The guard on duty at the door overheard Ethan's entire rabid rant, reported it directly. "He's done for. Ethan is completely done for." The comments continued to provide a live feed. I watched with great interest. The director wasted no words. His voice was not loud, but each word landed like a hailstone. Ethan Reed, leaking information about classified national research personnel, intentionally poisoning and harming a key research fellow, sabotaging the progress of a major research project. You are now under arrest for endangering national security and intentional assault. He waved his hand. Two burly, stoic-faced guards immediately stepped forward and twisted Ethan's arms behind his back. Their movements were rough and showed no mercy. Click. The cold handcuffs locked into place. Rainwater dripped from her hair, forming a murky puddle on the marble floor. After a long time, she finally staggered to her feet and walked back out the gate. The storm continued to pour. Her figure blurred in the rain, eventually disappearing into the darkness, as if she had never been there at all. Hawthorne Group Tower. Top floor office. Beyond the floor-to-ceiling windows, the city's lights began to flicker on as dusk settled. I stood by the window, a freshly poured glass of whiskey in hand, the ice slowly melting in the amber liquid. Charles knocked and entered, holding a few documents. "Mr. Hawthorne, the situation with Ethan Miller has been resolved," he said, placing the files on my desk. "The university expelled him for academic misconduct. Debt collection is underway, but he has no assets to his name, so it's unlikely he'll be able to repay it anytime soon." I glanced at the file. Only then did Ethan snap out of it, panicking completely, struggling desperately, his face a mess of tears and snot. "Director, sir, I was wrong. It was a moment of foolishness. I love her. I did it for her. For the base." "Shut up," the director cut him off sharply, glancing at him with disgust as if looking at a pile of filth. "Take him away." Ethan was dragged out like a dead dog, his cries and pleas for mercy echoing down the hallway before fading away. The world was quiet again. The director's gaze turned to Willow on the hospital bed. His eyes were still stern, but now held a more complex, scrutinizing look. "Comrade Dawson." His voice was grave. "Given the heinous nature of this incident, and the severe lack of judgment and negligence you have displayed in handling your personal affairs, which has posed a substantial threat to the project's security protocols, the base can no longer bear any potential risks arising from this." It contained a photo of Ethan leaving the university. His once handsome face was now gaunt, his figure slumped and pathetic as he dragged his suitcase away. What about his mother's medical bills? It was verified. Certain procedures were indeed deemed excessive treatment. Charles adjusted his glasses. "The hospital has refunded $150,000. The rest will be recovered in installments." I nodded, my gaze falling on another newspaper, a financial daily. Ashwood Building Materials capital chain snaps, multiple projects halted. The accompanying photo showed Vivian's father standing in front of an empty factory, his hair now mostly gray. "The Ashwood family won't last the quarter," Charles stated calmly. "The banks have already rejected their loan applications." I didn't say anything, just turned the page. In the corner of the news section, inconspicuous human interest story. Former socialite photographed working in coffee shop. Glory days are over. The photo showed Vivian in a Starbucks uniform, her hair messily tied back. head down as she wiped up a coffee spill. After careful consideration, it has been decided to suspend you from all work related to the Pangu project. Effective immediately. Leave the base. You will be notified of further proceedings. It was decisive. There was no room for negotiation. The audience, holy crap, expelled the female lead, got kicked out too? Harsh, but I guess it makes sense. She did let the wolf in the door and almost got herself killed, Pangu, so it really is a top secret project. It's over. The female lead has lost everything. Career, love, and the baby are all gone. Male lead paging the male lead, this is on you. Willow lay on the hospital bed. The last trace of color drained from her face. Her lips moved, as if she wanted to say something, but in the end, not a single word came out. She just slowly, wearily closed her eyes. Her long eyelashes trembled violently. A single murky tear finally squeezed out from the corner of her eye, slid down her pale cheek, and disappeared into her hairline. It was a blurry photo, but you could still see the dark circles under her eyes and her rough skin. The diamond earrings once worth $1 million had been replaced by a $10 pair of plastic studs from a street vendor. I folded the newspaper and tossed it into the trash. Outside, a helicopter bearing the Hawthorne Group logo flew across the sky. On my desk was the proposal for my latest project, a $3 billion investment in new energy development in Southeast Asia. Beside it was a proposal for a charity called the Firefly Project, aimed at sponsoring the education of young girls in impoverished mountain regions. The tip of my pen paused on the paper for a moment as I looked out the window. The city was as prosperous as ever, with its endless traffic and glittering lights, but some people and some things were now completely in the past. Notify the foundation. I signed my name, the strokes as sharp as a knife. The Firefly Project launches next week. The scarlet comments tirelessly scrolled a summary of the grand event at the base. Ethan is booked for a long stay in prison. Life sentence, minimum. That toxic phony Vivian was also invited for a chat with the authorities. She'll probably end up keeping Ethan company. The female lead, Willow Dawson, has packed her bags and been kicked out. Her current whereabouts are unknown. Rumor is she's in a very bad state. Upside down shit eater, this time your shit is guaranteed. The male lead won by doing nothing. All his enemies are gone. The female lead's ending is tragic beyond belief. Male lead, come out and give your victory speech. I finished signing the last of my documents while watching the live feed. The ink bloomed in a beautiful arc on the expensive paper. I closed the file. My assistant respectfully took it. I picked up the glass of ice water on my desk and took a sip. The coolness slid down my throat. Chapter 8. A few days later, Willow found me. Sincere, her voice was as hoarse as sandpaper. I didn't turn around. The moment I set down my pen, the office door clicked quietly shut. The audience comments instantly came alive. Here we go, the iconic scene. The female lead has come to him. Turn around, you idiot male lead. I slowly turned. Her face was deathly pale. The dark circles under her eyes nearly reached her chin, and her stomach was flat again. Oh, she took care of it. I raised an eyebrow. Can I help you? She stared at the open door behind me. Why did you change the locks? My lock was broken, so I changed it. Why won't the company security let me in? Company policy. Policy? I used to get in just by showing my face. You used to be the boss's wife. I smiled, polite yet distant. And now? You're a Jane Doe. The audience exploded. A fatal blow. From boss's wife to Jane Doe, ha ha ha. Willow's eyes reddened. Why don't you answer when I call you? I pulled out my phone and swiped a few times. You're blocked. Why? Clause 7 of the divorce agreement. I recited it like I was reading from a textbook. Both parties agree not to disturb each other's lives in any form. Is your memory failing you, Miss Dawson? She suddenly broke down and cried. Sincere, do you have a damn heart? I was pregnant, and I had a miscarriage. I sighed and said I didn't expect Ethan to be that kind of person. Don't worry, his life will be a living hell. Willow hesitated for a moment, then suddenly grabbed my wrist. I regret it, Sincere. I still love. I shook her hand off and said, You've got it all wrong, Willow. Love is a little game you idle people play. To me, I poked her chest, then pointed to my own temple. The money is here, the brain is here. Love, third bin in the dumpster. Go look for it yourself. The audience was dying of laughter. Third bin in the dumpster, ha ha ha. the modern-day ambassador against lovesickness. She suddenly lunged at me like a madwoman. You weren't like this before you said you'd love me forever. I sidestepped her. She crashed into the door. Chapter 9. I thought the door-slamming incident was the finale. I was wrong. Ms. Dawson had activated stalker mode. The audience was ecstatic. Obsessive X alert, the unhinged female lead is online. Male lead in danger, get life insurance. Quick. First, my home security camera caught a suspicious figure lurking around. At 3 a.m, disheveled hair, staring eerily at the camera, whispering, "I know you're in there." I called the police immediately. By the time they arrived, she was gone faster than a rabbit. The audience, pfft, mission failed before it even started. Then she started bumping into me downstairs at my company, holding a cup of cold coffee. "Sincere, we need to talk." I walked past without a glance. "Security, this woman is a public eyesore." Security escorted her away. The audience, "An eyesore? Ha ha ha, is the male lead's mouth laced with arsenic?" Next, I started receiving flowers. Anonymous, a massive bouquet of white chrysanthemums. The card read, "In memory of my dead love." I handed them to the cleaning lady's trash cart. "Bad luck. Get rid of them." The lady beamed. "Thanks, boss." The audience. "White chrysanthemums? The female lead's moves are wild." "Cleaning lady, you mean there's perks like this?" The most extreme incident. She somehow got my private number. Called late at night. The sound of howling wind in the background. Her voice was faint. "Sincere, I'm on the roof. Tell me, if I jump, will you regret it for the rest of your life?" I was watching the U.S. stock market and didn't even look up. "Give me the address." She was taken aback. "What?" "The address." My voice was calm. "So I can notify the funeral home to pick out a good urn for you. I can get you a 20% discount." Dead silence on the other end. 3 seconds later, "Sincere, you asshole," click. She hung up. The audience went absolutely insane. "The roof? Whoa, she's playing for keeps." Male-led, 20% off on an urn, ha ha ha. The female-led psyche has shattered. Upside-down shit-eater, get over here, legendary scene. I was fed up. Truly fed up. I had my lawyer send her a strongly worded cease and desist letter, with all the evidence of her harassment attached. One more incident, and we'd see her in court. The world was quiet for 3 days. On the afternoon of the 4th day, she somehow bypassed layers of security and appeared directly in my top-floor office. Her face was as white as a ghost. Her gaze was fixed and intense. She was clutching the lawyer's letter. Crumpled into a mess. The audience comments instantly spammed my vision. "Holy crap," she rated the dungeon. "Final boss battle. Male lead, use your ultimate." "Sincere." Her voice was terribly hoarse. "Do you hate me that much?" I put down my pen and leaned back in my chair. "Hate?" I laughed. "Willow, you overestimate yourself. Hate requires emotion. For you, there are no emotions. It's a waste of time. Understand?" She seemed wounded by my words and took a sharp step forward. "Then why are you treating me like this? Just what?" I cut her off, my eyes turning cold. "Just can't let go of your pathetic love, or can't let go of your fantasy of being the deeply wronged one. From beginning to end, you've been a mute." I exposed her ruthlessly. "When you were wronged, you bottled it up. When there was a misunderstanding, you said nothing. You thought one thing and said another. What were you playing? A guessing game? Is this kindergarten? Did you think the whole world should revolve around you, understanding every twist and turn of your complicated mind? Aren't you tired?" She was stunned by my barrage of words, her lips trembling. I was just what?" I took a step closer, my presence overwhelming. "Just thought the best way to punish someone was to leave them, to make them regret it, to make them live in agony. Willow, have you been reading too many romance novels? In the real world, who loves anyone forever? The earth keeps spinning no matter who leaves. Without you, I'm thriving. Without me, you'd be doing your research, and nothing would be wrong. But you had to pull all this nonsense. Look at the mess you've made of yourself. Who are you putting on this show for? To move yourself?" I pointed at the crumpled paper in her hand. "Look at you now. What do you look like? A scientist on a national-level classified project? Or a drama queen who can't live without a man? You choose." She looked as if all her strength had been drained, stumbling backward and hitting the cold glass curtain wall. The ball of paper fell from her hand. She looked at me, her eyes shifting from madness, resentment, and anger to a hollow emptiness. Finally, all that remained was a profound exhaustion and a sliver of humiliation, as if she'd finally been awakened. She opened her mouth, her voice as faint as a sigh. I think I really got it wrong. She slowly sank to the floor, hugging her knees. Her shoulders trembled slightly. She wasn't crying. It was the immense, belated shock and helplessness that comes from recognizing the absurdity of one's own actions. The audience was unusually quiet for a few seconds. The male lead's scolding was harsh, but maybe it worked. Every word was a dagger to the heart, but every word was the truth. The female lead's CPU has completely burned out. So, is this the end? I pressed the intercom. Secretary Zhang, please escort Ms. Dawson downstairs. Also, contact Dr. Lee. Get Ms. Dawson a recommendation for a reliable psychologist. Send the bill to me. This is the last time. I sat back down in my large office chair and picked up the acquisition proposal that needed signing. Sunlight streamed through the floor-to-ceiling windows, illuminating the paper. Black and white, crystal clear, the secretary carefully helped Willow to her feet. She didn't look at me again. Her head was bowed, like a child who had been lost for a long time, finally scolded into awareness, but with no idea where to go. Slowly, she followed the secretary out. The door closed softly. The world was completely quiet. A few final comments drifted by. The male lead is paying for the psychologist. Tisk, the final act of mercy from a capitalist. It's over, let's go make some money. The end. I opened the file. The tip of my pen glided across the paper. A soft, scratching sound. Making money. That's the only thing that's eternally important. Love, can you eat that? Destiny, look forward. I'll make money. You get help. Sounds good. The end.